overtime victory, they will only tie Beast Coast overall there at 8-8. Actually, no, Beast Coast would still hold the lead then because they would get an extra point too. So never mind on that. They do need to outright win to take the lead.
Oh, fair enough. Well, we're going to have SSG ban Thatcher. In their previous matchup, they actually ended up banning Maverick. But Thatcher, especially when you have the leadoff pick, is usually the best thing when it comes down to it. Sled's going to be removed from Beast Coast. And this is something that we've been seeing from them quite often throughout the season, is prioritizing these soft destructor bans. In fact, they've actually banned Zoe and Ash the same amount that they've banned Sledge. They've banned all 3 of these operators 2 times now. Secondary ban going to be Mira for them to round out theirs.
Mira going to get knocked out there. We'll see what the final one is. SSG does have the choice, so we'll see where they want to take this. They obviously have more official experience on this map. That's not to say, of course, that Beast Coast is going to be completely unprepared. Things align pretty well with what we've been seeing in the past, though, as Wamai is going to get knocked out. He's been the choice operator to remove that utility mitigation. The choices being between him, Jaeger, and of course Aruni. Everybody's still choosing to deal with Wamai due to the fact that his utility can be placed in kind of the most random positions. You can kind of chuck them anywhere, to be honest. So it's a little bit harder to properly figure out the setup on a round-around basis when compared to, say, a Jaeger or, of course, an Aruni, which is really a lot more limited in where they can position their utility.
Absolutely. Wamai just has so much influence right now inside of the meta, and that's exactly why he's sitting at the top of the defensive ban list. Just along with the MP5 and like you were talking about with the Frisbees, there's just so many things that this guy can do, as well as his secondary utility is quite strong as well. So he is not going to be along for the trip here for Chalet. As for us starting off, though, SSG will be on defense, and they're immediately headed upstairs to Master Bedroom, a site that we didn't see played too early on, or too much early on, excuse me, in our previous matchup. Looks like we are going to have Rampy and Luke take some damage. That would be, I assume, probably Luke.
Either one.
Tossing impacts there and actually impacted Rampy and dealt each other a ton of damage.
Yeah, I didn't catch specifically who chucked that right there, but whoever did it did max damage to Luke and Rampy, as they're both going to be at 50 or less, though. So, I mean, really, I mean, it goes without saying, right? Like, not the way you want to start out this round. For Rampy specifically, it means if he's going to be on the roam game at all here, can't really get that aggressive. And for Luke, he's already set up to lose in his first gunfight here just because of the HP disadvantage that he'll be at if it ends up being out in the open. He doesn't have some type of like pixel angle or something like that to play off of.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like losing over 100 HP between 2 people in like the first 5 seconds of prep phase. Yeah, so, you know, that's not going to bode well for SSG. I think all of us at home know that one. This round right here could possibly be a wash depending on how Beast Coast are able to play this. Obviously, they don't have the insight on Luke and Rampy obviously having damage dealt to them. So they're still going to play this how they normally would. But these gunfights, especially when Luke and Rampy are involved, are going to be a whole hell of a lot easier.
So upstairs control is first up, more specifically that library side of the map that we've been seeing a lot of teams fight over at the beginning of each round here, specifically because of this power roamer position that Thinking Nate is currently taking just outside of one of the library walls at the top of the front staircase. Fultz, though, with the lineup, very nicely found, catches some of the initial aggression from Beast Coast closer to the basement, as I believe he picks up that kill against Sippin near Blue Stairs connector there, making him out and hopefully making up for that little bit of a gaffe from SSG at the beginning of the round.
Yeah, Sippin getting quite aggressive from downstairs, especially with not really too much insight going on for BC. Didn't even use a hologram there to really get any insight for them at all. Anthony simply being patient will be able to take down Rampy upstairs as well inside of Library Hall, as Fultz will be able to at least get the refrag and pull SSG back ahead. They're trying to deal with these library players right now, but Nade's coming in onto Thinking Nate here at Chimney. He's going to end up getting down. Ghost with a nice move, still inside of the library area, but he is actually not going to get picked off. The frag grenade will roll through from Rudy, cleans up Nade. Now it's down into the 3v3 as Beast Coast are starting to make up some steam.
Nice trap set there by Beast Coast, although they do have to use both of the frag grenades in order to take out Thinking Nate in that specific situation there, so won't have the second one to use at some point later in the execute. We are getting close to that delta time where we need to see Beast Coast start to work their way into the site, but obviously it's a tense scenario in the 3v3. They don't want to overstep their bounds and end up making a mistake that would cost them too heavily and completely kill the take. So there is a momentary pause in the aggression here for multiple reasons, for drone intel to possibly work its way out here for the Beast Coast attackers, for at least that one wall to be taken down, as we were seeing Rudy Ham just a couple moments ago, as well as figure out the best possible route of attack, as when this starts, it's not going to stop, and there's also not going to be a lot of room for in-the-moment communication, and more importantly, change-ups when that execute does begin, which I believe is going to be coming up right now here.
Yeah, they need this to go off without a hitch. Not too much insight here. Obviously, they can use Anthony, but two of these defenders obviously directly countering that. And being able to use those mute jammers to at least get that away. So we'll see if Luke's able to pick up the frag here. Oh, swings out. It's going to be a trade back and forth. SSG right on top of things, though, as Fultz gets a flank off, but not going to find anyone. Assumingly, they don't know the plant's going off. Didn't hear the noise. Might possibly have a pinch here, as we are going to have Bosco rotate away. Much rather play for the clutch with Fultz in tandem. That's exactly what he's going to do. He'll light up Rudy as he tries to make the move back into the master closet. Nice angle here for Fultz. He'll catch him down. Triple kill for Fultz on the round, and a nice recovery from SSG after the mistakes being made inside of prep.
A pretty coordinated play coming out from both teams. Beast Coast had a great cutoff to deal with the Jaeger position just outside of library there. Obviously, SSG making that very small mistake at the beginning there with their impact ends up not impacting them as heavily as we would have thought, and they're able to still rebound and pick up the win there on the inside of the round off. Great rotation, specifically from Rampy working his way into that front living room, up the front stairs, and eventually around to cut off a large majority of the players still alive trying to go for that execute.
Pretty straightforward round there from both sides. I mean, it was really just a contention over library that soon transformed into a fight for piano as well as office control. Beast Coast are able to translate it into a plant inside of office after taking control of ego and pushing Rudy in through there, but it was all for naught at the end of the day. Beast Coast did not have the coverage over Rudy to be able to assist. They got fragged out by the SSG members on site while Rudy's getting that case down, and he can't make it work inside of the 1v2, so that's exactly why that'll be going SSG's way, as they start things off right with their first defensive win upstairs in Master. But we're going to be shifting gears already and headed towards Games and Bar. The number one site right now in all of Chalet, and I would definitely have to say probably one of my favorite right now to watch in all of the competitive matches currently, or competitive maps, excuse me. Mainly because it's just, it's a fresh concept. It's one that Chalet back in the day was just so much fun to watch when people tried to pull this off. Most notably, Most Wanted actually having a crazy strat on this, if you guys remember that team from back in the day, which was the previous SSG. They had an insane hold on this exact site on the previous Chalet version, and it really sent a lot of people for a loop, threw them off guard, and ended up winning them quite a few maps because of it.
So more than likely two bunker positions being set up here by SSG with the way things look, the reinforced connecting room as well as the usual position outside. Might just be one player rotating between those two positions though, as they are relatively reinforced around each other here. We can even see that really awkward deployable shield at the top of the stairs, which I think is also going to support the player on the inside of the connecting room between top blue as well as the inside. But look at this cut down angle from Rampy. Absolutely shreds Ghost. The problem is Bozo's quick on the trade, and Sippin as well, keeping up the aggression as there was that big mass of Beast Coast trying to press in from the basement. They still want to keep the pressure on.
Well, they definitely still have some. SSG has some semblance of control over Fireplace still, as we saw earlier today for Chalet, how important this area is. Usually held down by the defense, but offense also wanting to gather control and try and work their way in through, but it's quite the risky play when it comes down to it. Thinking Nade still up top on Chimney. Also has the Goyo shield to assist, but Anthony and Rudy find 2 kills of their own, and it's all down to Nade now, our Chimney player, who has now vacated the area and instead moves over to blue. But he's got pressure from all around him, as well as a hologram that's actually going to get faked here, but he'll obviously be aware of that situation now. Be able to get rid of the hologram, pops the gas tank on the back of the Goyo shield, waiting for the peek here. Won't be able to get across, doesn't actually take any damage, but as he tries to skirt right into game, Sippin pressures the angle, able to take down Nade, and Beast Coast find their first one on offense.
Gotta respect Thinking Nade for trying to make a play there in that desperate situation, having the courage to at least go for the cross. Just got caught on the timing, trying to make the connection into the next room, and ends up getting taken down there. It's a very swift response from Beast Coast in round 2 to immediately tie us up, walking down, well, not that site for SSG, and shifting them in towards a different one, as they are going to play into the Wine and Snowmobile garage defense next here as we enter round 3.
All right, well, Wine Cellar Garage, Wine Cellar Garage on the docket for the defense now, and a pretty interesting stat. I will say I didn't get to watch all of Chalet, so this might have changed, but something I heard Kix talking about in the previous map being that this site actually hasn't had a successful defense yet. I will double check it while we're inside of prep phase, but NA has not been able to actually stand the test of time so far on the basement setup for Chalet. And this map, or this site, excuse me, overall, has to more than likely be the most difficult. I obviously, that's pretty easy to point out given the stats, right? But look at this room right now that they're working with. I mean, there's just so many angles that you have to worry about, especially with the 2 double panel walls and how a lot of the offense takes that area and splits up all of Wine Cellar. It's really hard to combat back up against the offense. So we'll see if SSG can actually do so. I'm going to go grab that stat right now as well.
Yeah, Garage to me inside of this map is very similar to like Blue Bar on Coastline, where it's like it's very difficult, I feel, to play in the actual site itself just because of a lack of coverage, or it's so easy for opponents to set up cutoff angles to basically leave that player with no choice but to be killed the moment they move out of cover. So we're looking at a very similar situation there, where a lot of players getting pressed back into the other site, which in this case would be Wine, or of course the smaller connecting rooms sitting next to the sites. But ultimately, that doesn't leave SSG with a lot of cover to work with either, in my opinion. So let's see how they're going to take on this defense overall, though, is once more Beast Coast wasting no time getting themselves into the building here. Fozo already breaching into the alternate garage on the other side of the building and beginning to clear.
Well, it does look like we did end up getting one, in fact, John, as a 9% success rate downstairs across 11 defenses. So
nice.
That's not exactly something you want to hear if you're SSG right now, so I should probably stop mentioning it. Caster Curse is surely on its way. But SSG so far have been able to delay for the first minutes, and utility-wise, actually set up for really anything. They had Nade there on the roam for just a second. As you would regularly see Mute, he can really be a band-aid for any situation. Just throw him somewhere and hope that it sticks. Fozo gonna actually get obliterated by Bosco as he simply pre-fires the pixel angle, able to pick up Fozo. The air jab's now gone. Unless he already has the staircase locked up on the back end, but that's already a gun down in SSG with man advantage.
Goes continuing to lurk down here. He does have Rudy in position, but no one from SSG going to be peeking out of that doorway anytime soon, especially now that they have the 5v4 advantage to play off of. This does mean, though, that Rudy will have free reign to open up the side hall into the inside of Wine, and he should be able to complete that relatively soon, giving Beast Coast the second option to work their way in and limiting the defensive options for SSG, especially when it comes to this very open site. Bosco will get spotted out via a drone there on Blue Hall, but can quickly fall back, nothing immediately taking him out of the action here, as Beast Coast still trying to hunt for ways to get into this site and rectify an already missed course so far inside of this round. Rampy with another pickup here. Bosco once again has the cutoff, but can't actually get any additional frags here. Sippin is going to be able to trade out onto him. Luke will deny the push, though, and Rampy also shows up for one more frag. Sippin now the only one left standing here, as the Beast Coast assault has failed outright.
Well, that's not exactly fun for Beast Coast. So Sippin, last one alive. This is, I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. He's not gonna win this. He's literally got 1 HP. Someone can literally breathe on him and he'll keel over.
So did I guess the Maverick failed or something? And someone I saw Rudy complaining. I didn't catch what happened.
Yeah, Rudy was saying that the wall was bugged over there and they couldn't get it open. That could be true, but obviously that's not my job. That's other people's jobs. So
someone can break down the demo later.
Exactly. But either way, that push for Beast Coast just falling apart at the seams as they try to funnel in through, like, just the main door for Wine Cellar. I mean, SSG going to clean things up for round 3. That's going to be another defense for them. But getting back to the point of the conversation here, I mean, SSG get leadoff pick again, and they translate it into forcing Beast Coast in this very awkward push through that funnel. Obviously, the wall could have played into that just a bit, but still, they simply tried to just push deep into Wine Cellar altogether. And yeah, obviously Bosco wasn't able to get any frags, but he peppered down multiple people there, which also led to not only the initial frag from the smoke, but also the easier gunfights later on for the SSG members. They translate that into a 3v1 that's practically unwinnable for the last remaining member of Beast Coast, and SSG go up 2-1. This is just Beast Coast not able to actually apply pressure to the site how they want to, and obviously Rudy kind of frustrated about that wall.
Yeah, like I said, we didn't actually catch it on camera, I don't believe, so I don't know if what exactly went down with that. But very unfortunate if it did end up being bugged, but either way, got to play through that stuff as we're going to continue to move into round number 4 here and see how SSG's defense continues to evolve. Operators are not going to shift, especially from when this site was first played. Already a successful win from SSG on the board here, so no reason for them to really change things up. Meanwhile, over on the attack, a lot of the similar notes being hit here, as we're going to see the Yana brought back for this specific site attack once again. A lot more aggression coming up behind that, as well as you've got the Nomad for flank watch. And then aside from that, like I said, it's all aggro here. Ghost on the Zofia, Sippin on the Ash, and Rudy on the Ace with the AK-12. This is a gunner's composition right now from Beast Coast, and we're going to see what they can do with it.
It's so interesting that since Ace got added in, that he really is part of that gunner comp with the AK-12, you know what I mean? Great hard destructor with the Selma utility as well, but like that AK-12 just tears people to bits. You know, it used to be, probably about a year and a half ago at this point, that we were just praising people like Shaiko who just run around the map with a Bana and just tear people to pieces. But now, you know, we're to the point where we have this kind of a middle ground where really solid rifle, not a 3-speed, but a 2 armor, 2-speed, and he, honestly, although strong, feels quite balanced. I like the Selma charges. I like what he does overall in his kit. I think it's a really, really welcomed addition to Rainbow Six, as it's opened up quite a few different facets for the offensive lineups. But either way, about a minute through onto Beast Coast's offense here. Very similar positions for these SSG members. Nade no longer with a Goyo shield up top here. We are going to have a Hollow hop into Library Hall, but not going to get too much info. No Frostplay here either, so they won't have to worry about those usual gunfights that we've been seeing usually with these windows.
Thinking Nade continuing to hold the angle just outside of Library and picks up a swift first kill against Fozo. That's going to be the Nomad going down. I don't believe any air jabs getting deployed, and if they were, primarily to counter out runouts, which we're not going to see a lot of from SSG in this situation. Stun on to Thinking Nade, so Sippin will be able to trade him on the next swing. That only brings us down to a 4v4, and Sippin still took a lot of damage from the engagement, as he's now just under 25 HP. SSG still in a good position here, as long as they don't continue to lose map control.
All Folds with an engagement down low in Fireplace Hall. He picks up Sippin, and that's quite the frag as well. Sippin's the top frag currently for Beast Coast. Beast Coast worse for wear going into the last minute as SSG begin to pull ahead, but Folds quite injured from that last fight. Anthony currently looking for some players inside of Piano. He doesn't have too much insight. Frag Grenade Deep will go well over the head of Luke, and he won't even catch a bit of damage from that, so he'll be allowed to exist in here just a while longer. But SSG have quite a few cards still up their sleeve. Bosco currently at the bottom of Blue could flank up at a moment's notice, and it would be a huge flank if it is actually able to get pulled off. But it all starts now with Luke. He gets the initial down, not the dust though, as Rampy will clean that up instead. Anthony's still down. Ghost's the only one remaining. He'll try to pick up Anthony, but it's going to be Rampy that pressures. Seals the deal with that. The Impact and the MP5 both having a hand in this one, as SSG are just making this defense look way too easy.
Too much constriction against Beast Coast overall there, as they focus heavily on trying to work their way in from Library once again. And while they do find initial success in clearing that out, they still come out on the losing end of the overall trade when it comes to the health department. And unfortunately, it's a predictable move from their opponents in SSG. They see it coming, and as a result of that, they're able to pinch out the pressure and stop any further map control from being taken, such as that aggression that we saw coming out from the bar on the first floor to stop the extension from Beast Coast, and of course the wraps on a Piano to finish off the last two players.
Yeah, SSG have been utilizing these early round engagements to just push them ahead and honestly keep Beast Coast at bay. This is 3 times now that they've been able to procure the opening pick, and every single one of those rounds where they found it, they were able to win. And not only on top of that, but also Fozo being the lead-off kill quite a few times inside of those 3 as well, and that's already not looking solid for him either, especially given the circumstance of him being the, well, tied currently, but tied for the lowest rated player in the entirety of the NAL. So it makes things quite difficult, especially when you are playing a character like Nomad that you really do need for kind of the mid-round. You want to be able to set up all of those air jabs, limit the potential of a rotate, and that's quite hard to do when you're not only a gun down, but also down such a vital utility.
Now, this setup is going to be interesting again from SSG. Now, nothing really changing overall from what I can tell here, except for maybe the Frost being brought in. Don't believe we saw that last time, so pretty big departure there. But overall, like, the setup's still relying heavily on this connector room as well as the back positions are going to be interesting, and not specifically because of any choice SSG has made, but more so because Beast Coast, for the most part, from what I remember, executed against this site from the basement last time. So this setup never really got to see as much play as I think SSG would have liked. So I'm curious to see if Beast Coast are going to take that same approach again, as they were successful last time.
Yeah, they were indeed, as it was actually that first round where we ended up seeing Sippin attempt to come up from the basement and die on blue stairs. The bar round is the only round that Beast Coast has won so far, as you were talking about, and I think that's why SSG will change things up with Luke now on the Frost, just trying to slow some people down as well as make these window hops a little bit more difficult, as we've been talking about a lot recently, because Frost has just worked her way into the meta. It's very difficult to try and choose between a Frost mat or a target on who you want to fight, but Fultz is going to make it easy for him as he chooses the engagement. He'll take down Anthony. That's the Jackal off the board. Fultz already doing a lot of damage, but he's going to be able to get away, still alive as the smoke, and playing it to the best of what Poge would say is Smoke's ability. Just use all of those smokes before you die. There's no point in going to the grave with them, and Fultz is definitely doing so, locking down all of these lanes and making Beast Coast life quite difficult when it comes down to it. Sipping the next one to fall as Beast Coast just simply cannot get out of this mud.
These angle holds from SSG are absolutely thrashing Beast Coast time and time again here. They are losing players. The hallway swings running directly into setup players for SSG time and time again. And unfortunately, we're just not seeing it get traded out as much. So as far as this round is concerned, things are looking promising to be sure for SSG. Still, of course, got that remaining minute and 20 seconds. And at a 3v5, especially in Siege, anything is possible. We'll have to see specifically how that upstairs hold continues to delay time away from Beast Coast, as that is the most pressing issue for them right now. They cannot go downstairs and execute onto bar until they've dealt with this library pressure from Rampy, and I believe one additional member from SSG.
Well, they do have the bulletproof here to be able to deal with this smoke and get some vision. That's a very big deal for SSG, as they'll be able to keep an eye on Ego, see if anybody hops the double. Some pressure now being applied from Beast Coast, but thinking Nade's good for it. He'll find an off angle as well and deal some damage back to Fozo, who seems quite worried about it as he's lost half of his health. 40 seconds now remain for Beast Coast to get something rolling. The ball, the plan, anything needs to happen right now for these guys. But it looks like this might not work out too well for Fozo. He is going to get at least some damage off, but he can't confirm the kill. He'll only deal the damage down to a very low amount of HP to Rampy, but what's that even worth? Rudy's able to refrag, but now he's down to 25 as well.
Only going to leave one player alive here from Beast Coast after thinking Nade finds the next pickup. 13 seconds left to play this as well. Good find from Ghost to punish the pressure from Blue, but the problem is front stairs still has Bosco, and he's going to be able to shut it down from there. SSG take round 5 and continue to dominate on this opening defensive half.
Utter domination right now from SSG is what we're seeing. That is 4 of the 5 opening picks that have been played out so far. And that just makes it so very difficult for Beast Coast, because we've seen 2 separate occasions now that not only is it the leadoff pick, but they're also able to translate another pick after that and usually end up with that 5v3. We've seen a couple of 4v4s where Beast Coast was able to get the refrag, but SSG just seems very strong in not only this crossfire game, but also the information as well. That top setup inside of Library was just so very difficult to crack for Beast Coast, especially given Thinking Nade's position out on the Library balcony, with vision for the other side as well as everything going on inside of Library hallway. There's just a lot of things to consider for Beast Coast, and they just didn't have the tools necessary to try and get around that. Also, it really did seem just like a one-pronged attack. They didn't try to apply pressure to the back end of SSG, like getting on the balcony or something like that, but we didn't necessarily see if anybody had something being played for that either. So obviously SSG could have had a counter for that in the cards, but we weren't able to see that. Heading into the last round though, SSG will head back downstairs to try and find their second successful defense of the basement.
Now, like we said, this generally does not have the greatest defensive win rate, but SSG is on a tear right now, especially when it comes to the early round control they often exercise against Beast Coast.
They would effectively like double or triple the defensive win rate here if they're able to do this.
Because like you said, there's only one win on it as of right now, so they've already...
Well, now 2. There's 2
Oh, now there's 2, yeah. So they've already doubled it. They're looking to triple it here inside of this game before the half ends. Hey, maybe Beast Coast can quadruple it if they can get a win on that one as well. With the way things are going, unfortunately, I don't have the greatest confidence, but we will have to see if Beast Coast's own defense is going to net them the capability to turn this match around. At the moment, it's SSG controlling a lot, especially, like I said, the early round of play here. We are going to see the members of Beast Coast repel up relatively quickly and start to put pressure, onto the library spot here. Rampy is in position to fend this off. Activate the backpack real quick here to make sure the drones can't see him. Probably did get spotted for a second or two, though, as he had to take out that second drone while not having the backpack on. So they'll be aware that he's sitting behind that suspect wall that so many people are taking. Not going to be able to do anything from it, unfortunately, now that he's been spotted out. So we will have to fall back and try to find some aggression from a different position. This is a promising start from Beast Coast, despite the fact that they haven't gotten any kills.
Yeah, but I mean, look at what they've done across the board, though, to the drone economy of Beast Coast so far. I mean, this is already 4 drones down, as well as having Mute as well as Vigil in play. That's actually quite a big deal when it comes down to it. Obviously, they would have really wanted that leadoff pick like they've been able to find so far, but doesn't seem like Beast Coast are going to allow it this time around. Fozo will be allowed to live a little while longer and get down this air jab utility that's so pivotal when it comes to this flank game of SSG. Speaking of which, they're all going to actually end up rotating back downstairs, all except for what seems to be 2 members, one inside of Kitchen, as well as one inside of Trophy that we could see come into play a little later on.
Bolts continuing to try and draw the ire of Beast Coast from the inside of the kitchen now that Beast Coast are focusing a lot more prominently on the main basement stairs, as well as the blue push in order to get them access before the time runs out here. Finally getting it open, that'll allow them to deal with the mute jammers and also open up the possibility to have their hard breach Rudy rotate around and open up the walls outside in the garage. In fact, those Selmas have already been used by Rudy, which means they were either pre-placed in that position and are now in the process of activating, or were used somewhere else. And I would probably assume on the pre-placement there. So when we check back at the garage, probably going to expect to see at least one opening. Bolts, though, with this long angle. We talked about him being in kitchen before, and he's continuing to cause problems here as another kill comes out as well. Bolts also tearing it up, the same as Luke has been inside of this round here. Some great impact being made. Everything falls down to Anthony here in what is now a 1v3 after he trades out on the Fultz.
Well, Fultz with a nice shot, but Anthony's going to need a lot more of those if he's able to get through this round. Very minimal time inside of a 1v3. Yeah, he does have full health, but really no information to work off of. No drones. Does have the ability to scan. Actually, no, he doesn't even have that either. All he has to his name is smokes and a rifle. We'll be able to deal some damage to Mute. Can't even finish it off just yet. Mute switching angles. Nade bringing out the M590 to show the work, and yeah, it works out. Round 6 for SSG, and that's a 5-1 split for them on defense.
So a very promising half for the SSG roster there. Unchallenged holds on multiple sites, as well as just outright early round domination when it came to their roam position there. Either wasting so much time before Beast Coast were able to successfully pick up the kill on whoever it was in the extended position, or just, as you mentioned there, inside of that round, bleeding the drone count down to a point where they just don't really have the intel they need to execute on the actual site inside of the late round anymore. So mastery there on the defensive half for SSG, and now we get to see if they're just as strong on the attack to try to get a quick closeout on this matchup, or does Beast Coast have some of their own prowess to show us here on the defense? Let's find out as we're going right back to master bedroom and office for Beast Coast's first defensive round.
Yeah, that was a really rough half there for Beast Coast. It never, not even in the round that Beast Coast won, did it feel like SSG was ever out of the running in any sense of the word. Like Beast Coast is able to procure that bar round, but after that, no more plants, no funny business at all. SSG shuts it down every single step of the way. Beast Coast don't even have a horse in the race. This is a very long road for them to come back from. Obviously, we've been talking about this defensive side for a lot of the time today. We already had Chalet twice, and these defenses usually don't go this way. It is definitely not a 5-1 type of map. So for SSG to pull this off, that's a very big deal. And the problem is now is that Beast Coast have to try and repeat it if they want overtime.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy task, that's for sure. But it's also not impossible. We've seen it happen many times in the past. Remember, obviously everybody's sitting there at home thinking, oh, this is SSG. They're going to be able to close this one out easy. Remember, SSG have not had the greatest season. Obviously, the loss of Canadian has affected them.
Tragic.
But there are
tragic season.
Yeah, but there are other issues as well, and it's left them pretty low in 7th place currently inside of the NAL. Beast Coast is actually a position ahead of them in 6th place. So, surprising as that may be for some of you, it is true. It means SSG... What's up?
I was going to say, the craziest thing about that is, like, I know that, but even when you say it, it doesn't even sound like 7th place even belongs next to that name.
Yeah, it's like...
You know what I mean?
Like, you don't believe it until you actually check the stats for yourself. I didn't even realize how far they had fallen. I thought they were still floating around, like, 5th at least or something like that. But take a peek a couple minutes ago, and, yeah. Turns out not.
Well, you know, you either die the hero or you live long enough to become the villain.
Live long enough to get relegated.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Yeah, but either way, I don't think SSG will get that far. We'll have to see a little bit later on down the line, as we still have to see if, you know, XET can outdo them and who can lose more or something along those lines. But I think SSG so far have actually turned on the burners. I mean, looking across the board here, Luke is even having a really solid game, and it's been quite the difficult season for him, obviously, given the circumstances. It's a pretty big benefit of the doubt, but still, I mean, it's something worth talking about. Luke has not had fun in the slightest, and this map right here is a big difference maker for the entire squad. There's not a single person that's negative right now. This is a huge morale booster, and they're hoping to lock this out as quickly as they can.
Some initial control going into the favor of SSG as they do take Library away from Beast Coast. Obviously, you can see quite a bit of time being drained off the clock in the process, though similarly to the issues that Beast Coast also faced on their own attack. So this is the problem now. This is the issue that SSG have to get over that Beast Coast struggled with in their half, is pushing it past this Library control and moving into the actual master bedroom to get the plant down on the ground. That is where Beast Coast were failing in the previous half here. Faults ready to move in towards front lobby, but he's really cautious of a basement rotate because I believe that's what he himself, or if not him, then another member of SSG was trying to pull off on their own defenses here. So just trying to make sure that that isn't being stolen and taken away from them. He's right to fear it. I don't believe we have anyone from Beast Coast sitting down below in that position, but still trying to be cautious, as Fultz now takes up a position just below those reinforced walls and is going to, from what I can tell, try to take out the wall denial here from the Cade, but is holding it back for some time. As we're now down to 20 seconds, though, SSG need to move in for the execute. We don't see any sign of that. Where are they going to burn out from here? And more importantly, are they going to get onto this site with enough time?
I don't believe so. The angles look too hard here from Beast Coast. They might have been able to get rid of the shield there, but Rudy goes huge with two, possibly a quad here. Yeah, able to get the quad kill. Looking for the ace now, but doesn't have any info on where Rampy is. Rampy will pick up a kill for his troubles, but Beast Coast get away with the bag. Round 7 going to them as they start this comeback. And what a round it was for Beast Coast. And by what a round, I mean what a patient round. SSG really being the well, the bearer of whatever you want to call it. They're just very slow moving there. SSG not really able to actually get up onto the site. They knew what they needed to get rid of there. They wanted to try and pop the office wall from the library balcony, and it just wasn't capable of doing so. Obviously, we saw Rampy, or excuse me, not Rampy, but Fultz get some pressure down low with the Zofia. He wanted to try and impact through, but he didn't exactly know where the Electro Claw was. Didn't seemingly want to risk it. Instead, they go for a funnel instead, and well, that's what happens when you feed the 416C. You just get 8 up, baby. That's a quad kill for Beast Coast as they get their second, or excuse me, their initial defense.
Yeah, so Rudy just gets himself a whole cacophony of frags on the inside of that previous round right there, and the lead starts to diminish, although very slightly, for the SSG roster. Started out at 5-1, now at 5-2. Beast Coast going to see if they can keep this tear going, as they're going to go to the only site that SSG didn't play, from my memory here, as they're going to work their way over here into kitchen and dining room for the next site defense. It's going to be a somewhat flipped version of what we had before. Still going to see upstairs defense deployed specifically to the master bedroom as well as the office area, but now it's going to be used as a time-wasting mechanism, specifically out here towards piano. As you can see, the deployable shields, extra reinforcements going down in order to support the hold on the inside of the office as well. As once again, SSG will need to take this away from Beast Coast in order to establish top-down presence to clear out the site enough to where they can push in with their diffuser.
Interested to see how they're going to do this. This piano setup, especially, really reminding me of some setups that we saw previously on like cafe kitchen area, where you'd set up the deployable shield around the sink and then play in towards K1 and K2. It just provides you a whole nother layer of protection where you're able to not only hop up on the piano and play the shield that way, but also play from behind it and just stand up and look to the shield for vision and stuff like that. It's a really, really solid piece of utility to put there, and makes that room a lot safer to play for them, especially with the Saria gate on the piano window. Looks like we're gonna have Rudy here as well, and that nitro cell could be quite a bit of fun for him later on if there is quite a few SSG members trying to pressure from library hallway. But we'll just have to see. This top hold so far for Beast Coast, though, looking quite solid, especially with the utility they're bringing to the table.
Also the hard-held angle right now onto the extended game from Beast Coast, trying to see if they can capitalize upon it, and with the drone, more importantly, trying to see if there's any utility that will trip them up upon taking control of this initial hallways. It's a bit of a different flair this time from Beast Coast. I didn't catch in the last round if they were doing the extended hold on that wall outside of library that SSG was doing, but it didn't necessarily look like they were, so considering that, Beast Coast may be leaving that department a little bit more open for SSG to take initial control, and that's why SSG is probably being a little bit more cautious with their drone work here, because they're just not used to that take on this defense here, and they want to make sure that there's no extra elements that Beast Coast are throwing at them that they're not missing here.
Okay, well, SSG successfully get the office wall open. That's a very big deal. We already have things changing up inside of the mid round that didn't even happen in the dying moments in our previous. So big steps here for SSG, but still a long road ahead of them. Still have Rudy here inside of Piano, and he's trying to play quite aggressively with his M590 as he is mute. He wants to try and get these frags and make that SAS operator as useful as humanly possible. And that's why you see him swing with this M590. Gets some good damage on a nade. He's going to repeat with the SMG-11. Deals some more damage, but these are all just pot shots so far. And now Nade is ready and waiting. He hops outside, deals some damage, but none of these shots landing. Got to tighten up that aim there, Rudy, as Rampy gets the frag. Fozo able to refrag immediately, though, and will actually end up in a 4v4.
An unlucky round for Rudy, considering he picked up the 4K on the last round, and this time can't even hit a shot, it seems like. There had so much good potential to initiate, but just none of it panning out. Happens to the best of us, though, as we're going to see the round continue on in a 4v4 fashion. SSG, though, going to be at a lack for time yet again here. 30 seconds left. They haven't even transitioned from the second floor down just as of yet here, and they're going to have to now attempt to execute as Rampy absolutely gets destroyed by nearly a Nitro Cell or an Impact getting shot. I very believe it was a near Nitro Cell kill. We are going to see that hatch get taken care of, I believe, with the last form of Hard Breach that's accessible to SSG. But once again, with only 10 seconds left, they're running right into the site setup from Beast Coast and hoping they can frag their way past it. That is not going to be a winning strategy, no matter how many ways you try to push it. And Beast Coast shut it down again.
Well, there's not much more to it. Yeah, they're able to get the top clear, but it's at the worth of the timer and not enough time to actually work the site how they want to. Once Beast Coast not give up, but actually just hand over top control. They were done with it. They needed to rotate people back to site and play out the timer instead. That's exactly what they did. Held the crosses for trophy and won out because SSG have to funnel. Not able to work the verticality how they wanted to, and no picks to actually really affect the anchor players on site. SSG, this comeback starts now, and now the big issue for SSG is, in fact, it's not just one round that they need to win to actually win this inside of regulation. They need to win 2 rounds here, and 2 rounds have already went the way of Beast Coast, and they haven't even touched Bar Gaming yet, and that's the site that we're going to next.
And I mean, they're going to run into a similar problem here. They still have to do the initial top clear because there absolutely should be an extended library hold this time from Beast Coast. Like I said, I didn't catch the initial bits of the round 1, so I was unsure how they set it up, but I'm going to assume for this specific site that they are going to deploy it, as it's a much more of a necessity when you consider they're now directly above the actual bomb site. But with all that considered, it's taken SSG such a long time to clear these positions out in the previous 2 rounds that they're going to run into that same issue of wasting possibly the first 2 minutes on the clock dealing with this extended play and then not having enough time to fully drone out and execute, ultimately to get torn to shreds by whoever's left from Beast Coast in the actual bomb site at that point.
It's actually insane how messy these types of setups, all except for the castle, obviously, but how a lot of these setups truly can just get messed up by like an operator like Thatcher, and that's why we can see him get banned out so much. Because I mean, look at the amount of utility they have to hold down certain pathing and stuff like that from the offense, especially these Saria gates, making it quite difficult for SSG to move through unless they want to offer up some utility or health. It depends really what you're willing to bargain for there. But either way, SSG tall task ahead of them with this library clear once again. They're going to be bringing their usual lineup. Bosco hasn't moved away from the Jackal. Still feel like that's having influence, as well as Rampy still on the Yana. We have seen them transition away from these in the past, most notably being the Ying and Nook. They did try to switch in Sledge every once in a while, actually only 1 round, but obviously Beast Coast banning that away, so we won't be seeing him anytime soon.
Sipping continuing to wait out time in the inside of that library connector out to the top blue hallway. No initial pressure against him as of yet, but that's going to be changing soon with Rampy already pushing in from the solarium side of the map, clearing things out for the most part towards the offices and piano rooms as well there, but is not going to continue to press forward through the Surya gate. I believe is going to hop outside to begin playing inside of the top blue window instead to see if impact can be made from that position. Bosco also nearby. Same for Luke here, really, as SSG do commit themselves to that clear relatively quickly over on the Solarium side, but are also quickly going to retreat from said position to begin working on the library hold, which is the core issue that we were talking about inside of the pre-round.
Interesting. So we see Foltz go for a breaching charge on the castle for a library window, but then he moves away and gets back to the roof. So SSG's making an adjustment here. We'll just have to see what it is. They more than likely got some insight on a drone or are trying to change up the game plan, but obviously they can always go back at a moment's notice, and it seems like that starts now. They'll be able to get rid of the the deployable shield, at the top of blue stairs instead. So Beast Coast losing one piece of utility, but look at that timer right now. Only a minute remaining for SSG as they're all still on the outside of the building.
Once again, things are going to start to get dangerous here for SSG, considering how the previous rounds have gone. Sippin, his position will be revealed, but that does not mean he needs to leave. In fact, the punch hole to try to play against Fultz, but he's a little bit too slow on it, unfortunately. Fultz sees it being made, cuts off Sippin. There's the beginning of something that could finally net SSG around for themselves here, as we're going to go down to a 5v4. The time, again, being the crux of the issue here. Rampy with a great cutoff from the basement. Thinking Nate does it as well, taking down Anthony. Rudy, the solo hold right now upstairs inside of Library, and he's going to continue to tear them to shreds. 3 kills go unresponded to, but Thinking Nate still downstairs. It won't matter, as Rudy has control of the diffuser. They have to come back and frag him out. He's the only player left, though, so he's going to thrive in the aggression. Goes back to blue stairs to try to play an unexpected position. They will retrieve the case. They'll be able to attempt to plant now as Thinking Nate started it. Does Rampy have Overwatch, though? That's the question, because Rudy can end this round right here. Never mind. He's now going to have to go for the clutch, and unfortunately won't even get the chance. Thinking Nate cuts him off before he can make the hatch drop, and SSG finally take an attacking round.
It's rounds like that where you just wish the rest of your team had some sort of influence over anything inside of that round. Rough for Rudy, but an amazing showing of his mechanical skill and his ability to hold things down in desperate moments. Beast Coast not able to get away with that round and bring the scoreline even closer. Would have been within striking distance of SSG at that moment, but SSG pull ahead once again to create a 3-round deficit up against Beast Coast. If they seal it right now, that's a 7-3 in the favor of SSG. They obviously make some mistakes, just mostly stalling out when it comes to their offense, just not able to find what they need to actually progress themselves forward. But that last round, definitely a solid start to this offense, and what a way to actually start this before Beast Coast are actually able to get back up to you. I think that's the biggest deal, right? Beast Coast not able to close the gap before SSG actually starts get the ball rolling, we'll say, on offense.
The snowball rolling, it seems like, here for SSG, is once those kills started, they didn't stop, except at the hands of Rudy, who nearly single-handedly wins that round yet again here for Beast Coast. Already had a great performance in the first round, the defense, when defending this very site, in fact, here, due to the fact that SSG, to be fair, kind of funneled directly into him and fed him quite a few of those kills, but ultimately has brought a great performance in that last round as well, so proving to himself and to us at home, of course, that it's not just that one round, that he is indeed here to frag today, and is going to look to do so again now that he's crossed the double-digit threshold. 10-2-7.
That's just hard. That's just really hard to look at, because looking back at the scoreline and just being like, yeah, you're top fragging, but the squad isn't performing up to snuff right now, right? And that's the hard thing. Like, I am totally down with praising players and all that stuff. They deserve that kind of thing, especially for the performance that Rudy has right now. But Beast Coast, they need to get back to this team play and try and either get on the trades or something to slow down SSG, because this game overall has been quite messy from them. It's really just been SSG basically having Beast Coast on a leash. These last 2 rounds obviously being the big difference from what we saw from SSG when they were on defense. But, I mean, especially with that last round coming into play, a lot of things changing up here. But now Beast Coast with a pretty solid top hold. They have Anthony inside of the bathroom currently looking down through West Main at the bottom staircase. A very old angle that got used all the time, and that's exactly why Rampy knows that's there. He saw the hole, and he's like, oh, that's pretty fancy. Watch me frag grenade this. And, well, Anthony's going to get blown sky high. That's the first pick yet again for SSG.
Artillery strike from SSG will strike true and knock out Anthony there. Another player potentially going to be in a problem situation here, though. Rudy having the cutoff downstairs, even after a player getting killed from that position. But no, not going to be able to make the translation happen. In fact, Fultz pushes Kitchen, gets another one onto the board for SSG in this situation, to push us even further into their favor in what is now a 5v3. Finally going to see a response come in from Sippin, though, as he's still roaming around on the first floor here. He's going to be able to trade out Rampy with the Vector, eliminating that Yana, as well as the free drone intel that would come with her capabilities, and obviously limit SSG to just what they have remaining. Thankfully, they still have 5 drones, half their count left, so should be okay in that department.
All things fall silent on Chalet, as they usually should be. Lots of snow on this map, pretty graceful usually until explosives start going off and hails of gunfire are thrown back and forth amongst targets. Bozo still laying down upstairs, Beast Coast overall. Just waiting for the storm to eventually land here from SSG is still working its way in. Foltz, the forward position right now, might be in trouble with Rudy inside of the bathtub. Bosco going to end up getting down. Rudy going to get one of his own. Not able to handle the thermite, but Sippin's going to catch Luke slacking as he moves into an angle through the door. Nade able to pick Bosco back up. It's effectively a 2v3 at this moment. Bosco's going to have very low HP, though, and they also still need to get this case down. Big issue right now is Beast Coast are going to be able to play quite a few crosses with these 3 people still alive. They'll be able to pick up Nade right off rip and leave Bosco inside of a 1v2 with very minimal HP. This C7E, an amazing rifle in the proper hands, but with such low HP, these gunfights are going to be so unbelievably difficult. One bullet from Fozo's AUG will take him down, and Beast Coast stay inside of this one.
Bosco with some great situational awareness in the 1vx clutch attempt. Unfortunately, just not having the time, nor more importantly, the health that he needs to try to win out those gunfights there. So he's going to be taken out pretty quickly upon his first swing into the open, as we saw there on the kill replay. So getting into, once again, what could still be the final round of this matchup, SSG at a 6-4 lead. East Coast is going to continue to rotate through the sites that, once again, a quick reminder, they've already closed out quite a few of these, so they're just running through the gauntlet yet again and forcing SSG to try some new stuff in order to make up the difference. So far, it has not worked, but again, only that one repeat coming out so far. We're going to see the second one here now on Kitchen and Dining.
All right, well, 6-pick coming out from Rudy. We've seen him play quite a bit of mute so far, but he's going to switch back over to the AUG. Kaid coming into play for Kitchen Dining, and those Electro Claws have quite a big influence when it comes down to it. Not only able to lock down the hatch, but also be quite annoying when it comes to sealing some walls, and whichever one they choose, we'll make sure to notify you guys about that one. SSG, though, not going to be changing up the lineup. They feel like this is the one to do it, as they haven't really tried anything else besides this. We've had Foltz on Ash for most of the time. I don't believe he switched off at all. I honestly, very minimal Zofia play, given, you know, that she is available, as we've seen Beast Coast ban her prior.
It looks like SSG have had to resort to, you know, kind of some other forms of utility almost to deal with. Obviously, like Ash is still in play too, right? So she can deal with a lot of the soft destruction job there. And I think that, unfortunately, there hasn't really been necessarily a need for the Zofia because they've needed the other utility, such as like the anti-roam here, as we're seeing Bosco bring both the Jackal as well as the Nomad to also add that extra level of flank watch to this one. And that may be the adjustment that SSG feel is necessary here to properly get around Beast Coast, because they're having problems taking stable map control, and they seem a little bit fearful of what Beast Coast may be able to swing on them late round if they just go for an outright execute, leaving them, once again, as we say many times in Siege, right, with just these very rushed, low-timed executes where the team doesn't seem fully confident in what they're doing a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It gets to be quite difficult, but I like that you pointed out the utility differences here as well, because especially with Yana and her changes with the Gone 6 coming in as their secondary, she effectively has 3 explosives as well. So she's just a different version of Ash, which is pretty cool when it comes down to it. Obviously, she doesn't have the breaching charges, but she does have that pretty cool hollow you can use for some really solid intel. And as you can see, just looking across SSG's board overall, it's a solid lineup. Like, there's really nothing that you can truly knock about it. Obviously, you can be like, oh, they didn't play Zofia, but like, you don't necessarily need her, as you were saying. Like, you have plenty of soft destruction, you have everything you need to be able to get some walls open and actually have an effect on the round. So SSG
like how,
now start this top clear, and what's up?
It's like how you don't need Ash in most situations. Ooh.
Hey, don't you dare.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That one's
You always need
I'm gonna
an
get a couple
R4C.
tweets for that one, but
I'll say it to your face. I was gonna walk out into the hallway and I was gonna talk behind your back. Oh, I'm glad you didn't do that. No, now I'm just gonna say it to your face. I don't like you.
Fair enough. Quite a few people have that issue. So,
John, you're a lovable guy. Come on, man. It's not just because you don't like Ash. It's just like, you know, everything else. I'm just kidding. Either way, SSG. actually making some headway here. They're able to get the off wall open. Rampy with a nice frag. That's a super big deal when it comes down to it, as it seems to be only Ghost now upstairs. But does SSG actually know that? The drone economy is looking quite solid. Ghost might have a pick here depending on where this SSG member is standing. He looks to be safe, though, I would say, standing on the opposite side of that wall. Rudy's actually going to come back upstairs and play this long angle that's now been established since the office wall has been blown open with that AUG. Bosco also doing the same, but just on a different level as he plays from Chimney.
Goes continuing to bait out time by Piano here as we've once again reached that pivotal point for SSG where they have to start putting pressure onto the site regardless of what the current status of the Beast Coast setup is here. A lot of spam going into the kitchen from Rampy to try to figure out the position of one member of Beast Coast, and it does work to funnel them out as well. On top of this, they are moving in despite the top presence still being there. Ghost as well has been able to pick up a frag. Rudy with the Nitro Cell. Anthony finding one also, and it's an absolute collapse from Beast Coast onto the entire attack from SSG as they take round number 11 and push us to the ultimate round of regulation. We're heading to round 12.
Well, round 12 has been reached, the last round inside of regulation that SSG can possibly get the full 3 points that they desperately want at this moment. Bar Gaming will be the site for Beast Coast to try and have a successful defense as we take this TO for SSG. Obviously, the circumstances meaning that they more than likely want to talk about this and see if there is any adjustments they can possibly make, whether it be play style or operator lineup. We will have to see, as they will still have 6-pick available to them. But so far, this has been a defensive showing from both of these squads on Chalet, and that's not something that we can say for a lot of these teams. Chalet has been proven to be quite difficult at certain points. Obviously, we've seen some really solid defenses, but this one definitely standing out in my book.
Yeah, for really both the teams that we've seen play so far, but this bar defense having proved itself to be a lot of the go-to round for some of our defensive teams on the side of this map, and leading it to be a very popular choice. We're going to see that Cade switch come out from Rudy real quick here. Of course, you guys can't see the operator selections just as of yet while we're still in timeout, but that's going to be changing in a moment as we get ready to jump back into the game here. Beast Coast get ready to defend for the final time in regulation anyway. One of these sites, all they need to do is complete that one single round. Keep in mind, it's been such a long comeback run for them, and SSG has been able to learn quite a bit from their play, already able to take a successful attack on this site since Beast Coast have run out of options. They've got to go back to it now and try to control this site one final time in order to take it to OT. It's a bit of a precarious one for Beast Coast, but still, they needed to get the job done.
And it's something that's been plaguing SSG all of Stage 1 so far, is their inability to close out matches. Only having one win right now for them for their record overall, and quite a few close games actually when you look through it. Yes, there has been some stomps of SSG, but there has been some games where, you know, they showed signs of life and just ended up losing it at the tail end. I hope this isn't going to be the same issues that we've seen them bumping into throughout this stage so far, but it all starts now. Can SSG do it inside of this last round? Can they knock off Beast Coast, clear this out inside of regulation, and prevent overtime?
Well, as the timer continues to tick down here, Beast Coast are going to continue to set things up. Specifically in the library position, we are seeing something similar to what we've already seen for both Beast Coast and SSG in quite a few previous rounds. No castle to come into the play here, of course, for Beast Coast, and that's the difference between what them and SSG were doing. So that connecting room not going to be doubly reinforced, as we will see, I believe, a couple players from Beast Coast trying to actively play, not immediately, of course, but when the all clear is given, trying to actively play on the inside of the library to punish that aggression from downstairs that SSG are going to eventually need to throw in, and that we already saw success from in the previous round on the office hold when defending kitchen.
And they are going to switch that out as well for those Goyo shields like you were talking about. So we'll see if the Goyo shields can have an effect over this round. But honestly, I feel like the castle barricades more than likely have a bigger effect, but we'll just have to see. Yeah, we'll have to see. Obviously, like they're entitled to their own opinions, right? That's why we're commentators and they're the players, and we just get to talk about what they do and so on and so forth. But either way, this can definitely still work. This is quite a bit of utility that SSG still have to deal with, and they have to deal with it properly, especially given the Saria gates and Jaeger being in play. There's quite a big room for mistakes to be made from the offense, especially inside of the util department. So let's see if they can get this to go off without a hitch. As for Beast Coast, they are still simply waiting inside of library for this next move from SSG. Obviously now going to see that this is starting off with quite the large bang, but oh
wow,
no,
impact.
an impact from below. Oh no, it's actually Rudy's nitro cell instead. He burns a nitro for one of those exothermics. That could be a big deal. I want to see if SSG were necessarily going to go for a library wall, but we haven't seen a team do that. Instead, just blowing the office wall for access to the balcony or to try and get some pressure down that main hallway like we see right now.
If anything, it slows things down, wastes a solid 10 to 15 seconds, which when we consider the issues SSG have been running into in this half is still a pretty massive deal at the end of the day. Bozo's still waiting at top blue as well, so they have to deal with the hard lock position from him, as well as I believe one other that should still be lurking near the library. If Sippin decided to stay there from earlier on in the round. Ghost, it looks like, in fact, is the one to do so, but Ghost is going to very quickly get overwhelmed as the flood begins to move in from SSG.
And here's the huge difference with that library clear. Look, Rampy's on the balcony. That's something we didn't see Beast Coast do. They're trying to hold two separate angles. It's a huge deal when you start applying pressure to people. You don't want them to be able to escape, and Beast Coast now just trickling through with these deaths. Ghost and Fozo already dead. Anthony and the rest of the squad currently back inside of sight. Rudy trying to play an off angle, currently hugging the ground, trying to see if he can possibly do his best rendition of a dead body and have some SSG members walk past him. But as of right now, Beast Coast are simply awaiting SSG's arrival as it's a full-on 5v3 as they attempt to break into the site with the last 15.
Rudy with a great position here behind the jukebox. Has an angle to the next room too, but that gas is making it difficult to see through. Can't lock down the player. It's two unresponding kills, but what's this from Anthony? He knifes the case. They have to move in and kill him. There we go. Rampy finally trades it out. Anthony having the run of his life there, though, on the inside of Bar, knifing the case planter, shotgunning another player, and picking up a whole load of frags, nearly winning the round on timer to send us to OT as well. But SSG does indeed a rebound, closing out 7-5 against their opponents and just barely squeaking out the 3 points necessary to pass them in the standings, which is going to move SSG up to 6th place as well.
Well, a fantastic defense leads to a treacherous offense for SSG, but they're able to squeak it out just before Beast Coast force overtime. 7-5 for SSG, and honestly, an extremely solid showing. A win that they desperately needed, especially for that mental. It's been a little while, John.
Yeah, it's been a while for them here, as I believe they were on a 5-game losing streak prior to today. So finally a win coming out for SSG, and inside of regulation as well, means they get those bonus points. Having players bring some great performances to the table definitely still